I had to do it. I had to set aside some time to talk about this, y'all, because this is not even going to come from a place of like gloating, but I need to speak on what it has been like to be me these last few years. And as an Aquarius, as anyone who has strong intuition, I'm talking to you. And of course, this does tie into yesterday's decision about, president and the state of America. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because as an astrologer, I can now kind of solidify things more through, of course, the stars and numerology. But as an Aquarius, before I came into this profession, I was very much a conspiracy theorist, the typical, conspiracy theorist who was like, look at this, y'all, like the secrets and whatnot. And the amount of backlash that I have received just in life in general, when you have strong intuition, when you have the gift of discernment, when you feel things, when you operate more on logic, when you look into stuff, and not even people who operate on logic, just people who feel that something is right or wrong or whatever the case is, a lot of times that is not so much respected because you aren't able to pinpoint exactly where you are getting this information from. Yesterday, after the results came out, I was like, I felt like a weight has lifted off of my shoulder because the information that I would put out to people, of course, was not very popular, not very favorable, but I'm always explaining to people that you sometimes have to sit back and understand that, especially with astrology, that everyone is not going to think like you, view things the way that you do. And if we're talking in an astrological sense, people who are more air and fire dominant, that is masculine type of energy, will operate more on logic, operate more on facts, reading books, literally actually looking at words. And then people who are more earth or water dominant are operating more on emotions or intuition or how they feel about things. So trying to get two types of group of people to all, operate on the same wavelength, that's just not going to work. And so I've made it very clear that I am very fire and air dominant in my birth chart. It's not a secret. And so that's why I view things more in a logical sense as opposed to, oh, I just feel things. Now, I do have natural intuition. I am a Scorpio rising, but talking to people about the things that I see and feel and just know has been I want to say difficult journey, but a frustrating one. When you are an Aquarius, you have Aquarius energy, we're literally the future. I would say that it's about innovation, it's about future. So I look into things like years ahead of time, and when I speak on things, people would be like, you're crazy, that's not true, or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, how do you prove to people, well, it's not really like a proving thing, but how do you show people that it is possible to see things when there's no like nothing in front of you? Like it is just a thing. Um, and so I did make a prediction, although I said many of times I do not like to do predictions whenever it comes to my readings. However, if the client does want to kind of look into those kind of things, you know, you can see stuff in a birth chart. I don't, I know people don't want to believe that. Some people do, some people don't. But you can see, energies and you can see very prominent energies in a birth chart. So whenever it came to this election, I was like, I've been speaking on this for years. Well, I'll say years, the past couple, 2, 3 years of this second presidency. And now it did not come from astrology, but it did come from, again, that logic, that intuition of me looking into things, literally reading and absorbing every video, every interview, everything of just feeling like there is something more to this. There's a bigger picture to this. And when I would post my content, 2 years ago, like the heaviest shadow ban, I got so many violations. I got so many like just flags all the time because of what I was saying, which again just seemed controversial. But I was like, no, y'all, like, look at this. And of course, the more you put it out there, and the people who don't see it, and you're like the only one, you do seem like you're, out of your mind. And hopefully I can show this book, but there's this book that I have here. that I posted about it. And if you just open it up, and this was written, published in like the 1800s, I'll just leave it at this. So you can just kind of take a glance at it. The parallels in this book are wild, like same name, same environment, same situation. I'm just leaving it up for here for y'all to do your research. But whenever I posted about this, I would go back to my page and the content was literally gone, like disappeared, like as if I've never posted it. The more that you put out there, the more that they're like, we don't want people to see this. We don't want people to know, the truth or whatever. So when I made my prediction about this election, I was looking more into January just because, I was like, well, what if they're like, oh, we need more time, blah, 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 blah. So just kind of looking into that, but just seeing through astrology, through numerology, through age, through, what year are they in, all of these things, I'm like, I know in my heart this is it. And this isn't to bash any other astrologers, but I did see a lot of them going the other way. And I was like, what are y'all seeing? Like, what are you know? And so when I looked at both charts, I was like, okay, I know people with these placements, these alignments, and just kind of like understanding the energy of their lives, and then just literally feeling like, no, something is telling me it's going to go this way. Now, everyone as astrologers, everyone looks at things through a different lens. Some people are looking like more, I would say more mathematically, more scientifically, and then other people are just more intuitively. How do you feel about that? So this is why I also, encourage people to look into who you are listening to. Do they align with what you believe in, or also just how do they go about making their interpretations and kind of guiding people? I do always say, like, I want people to live in the present. I want people to, live in the now, because you don't want to get into people's heads of like what they think might happen in their life. I don't want people to do that. However, you have to come to an understanding that with astrology, numerology, like it is literally a guide to help you understand the energy of your life and the possible likelihood of things going a certain way. The reason why I encourage people to learn and understand it is to know that you need to know that whether or not you feel a certain way about things, some things just are. Whether you don't like it or not, it's going to play out the way that it is supposed to play out. And that's kind of something too that I had seen with this. If you have followed me on my journey, if you actually know me like in person, you know that I faced so much backlash, going viral, going like national articles just off of the things that I've said. And they would literally be like one sentence. It'd be like one sentence, one question, and then pooh, it just like blows up crazy. I also like made the statement yesterday. I was like, I hate that. Like, I'm trying to push out like astrological knowledge, spiritual guidance, but the only thing that gains traction for me is when I'm like more Aquarian, more contrarian, more sarcastic, more borderline rude with people. And that's what picks up. That's what gets people to see my content. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I just want to be like a spiritual guru, be a little bit more, tapped into my Scorpio water energy, more like emotionally connected with people. But it's like the energy of my life kind of states you got to be more aggressive. You got to be more assertive with people in order for them to hear you. So that's why I can come across more intense with people. And I was like, I just don't want to be like that. But part of me wants to be super petty because some people don't understand the amount of like loss that I've had in this journey of just being aware. Loss as in like losing relationships with people I was very, very close with. Like I didn't do anything to them, but it's just like my mind or my opinion just like drove them away, which is fine. Things happen, people fall out and whatever. But I wanted to, kind of put across to people like that stuff. Like you need to learn how to wrap your mind around that people are different. They're going to be different, and there's nothing that you can change about that. Kind of like I said earlier, when people are more fire energy, air energy, they're going to be different than people who are more earthly, more watery. Like that's just the understanding that people need to have. You cannot change people's alignment. That is them. You can make people aware of themselves, like you're too intense, you're too blunt, you're too abrasive, you're too whatever. You got to learn how to balance it out. That's why water earth exists, and the same thing. That's why fire air exists for these people. You got to kind of get out of your feelings. You kind of operate with more logic. That's just kind of the gift that we are all exchanging. But whenever it comes to the things that I say, the things that I post, I will never speak on anything that I am not 100% sure about. There's no back and forth. I'm not going to delete. I'm going to keep everything public. I'm going to make sure that everyone hears what I'm saying because, again, I am sure, like I'm sure. And so I don't give advice out like that to people. I'm not going to just say things just to say things, but with when you have awareness, when you have knowledge, and especially when you know people very closely, like like I know your birthday, I know, I know your signs, I know your chart, I know whatever. So it's like that's where it's all coming from. It's not just to say things just to say things. So I say all of this to say, whenever someone is speaking on something, you have to understand that it is coming from somewhere, no matter who it is, no matter who it is, whether you agree with them or disagree with them, that energy that they have, their opinions, the things that they're vocalizing is coming from somewhere. People need to learn how to pay attention to it and understand why. Now, when I talk about astrology, of course, every sign is contributing something as well. Every sign has its own gift. And so when I speak on Aquarius, I am an Aquarius sun, Sagittarius moon, Scorpio rising, all of those things and everything that I'm saying is coming from somewhere. The Aquarian, I'm literally books like above me. I have two bookshelves. I have books all right here. I read, I consume, I watch, I listen, I ask questions, I do all those kind of things. So that is where that's coming from. It is not just like, oh, I feel like this, because that's everyone else's opinion. It's like, no, I think I've collected enough information to come to a conclusion. And so when it comes to my clients, I want to make sure that I am doing the best job that I can whenever it comes to giving you advice, guiding you through your own life, or even just putting out the content that I do. The Scorpio in me, the revenge, the the scorpionic energy is wanting to come out because, like I said, the amount of backlash that I have just received, I can handle it. Trust me, I can handle it. I have faced so much opposition, but it's kind of funny, I just laugh at the end of the day. I am a Sag moon. I laugh at everything. So I don't take nothing too serious, but I do get frustrated with having the gift of foresight and then people don't see it in the moment. It's like it will take months, years for somebody to put their pride aside and be like, you were right. And then I have to put my pride aside and say, I know, you know? So, like I said, I just needed to put this out there because I have never seen so many story views on my Instagram than ever before. People weren't paying attention to my astrological knowledge, but when it came to this, because of everything that I've experienced when it comes to making the statements that I have, I was right. I was right. I was right. And it's not coming from like this God complex. It's just like anyone who's watching this, if you've been in situations where you were right about something, you told somebody something about a person, hey, maybe you should stay away from that person, XYZ. I don't think you should go there. I don't think you're giving your advice based on intuition and they don't take it. And then it's frustrating. So that's where I'm coming from. But I'm saying this in the most humblest of ways. Sometimes you just got to listen to people, y'all. So anyways, I had to come on here and say this. If you follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I am on TikTok, here, obviously. Trying to put different content, like I said, on different platforms. But if you are somebody who would like an astrological reading of your birth chart, if there's anything that you are facing in this, current life, whether it comes to your relationships or work or your family or anything like that, and you just want some guidance, of course, I can do that with you. I do live sessions with my clients. I do recordings. You can take a look at my website and kind of see what service works best for you because the knowledge of astrology and numerology, I'm telling you, will help you so much and allow you to see so much in this life. It has been given to us as a guide to help you navigate this worldly experience. So I thank all of my clients and people who are just very loyal to my work. Just thank you for still being here, for watching, for booking, and not wavering. I'm very stand on business, stand on business, stand on your word. Do not change. Don't apologize for what you said. Don't do nothing like that, okay? Say what you got to say, and that is it. So thank y'all so much for listening, and I'll see y'all soon.